not optimistic because I don't see anyone on the horizon who is that person. And I don't know if even if there was that person, by the way, Anwar Sadat was killed for it. So he was murdered because his people thought what he did was traitorous. And that is still the attitude of most Arab Muslims. It is traitorous to deal with the Israelis. So Palestinians included, 100%. It is traitorous. The reason I don't say the names of my translators is because they are considered traitors, that they're even speaking to me.
That is so crazy. Jeez. Okay.
The fact that I have so this is here. Oh, here's another one that'll surprise you. A Palestinian living in Ramallah, wherever, Nablus, it's okay for them, and not now since the war, but whatever, to come into Israel to work and get paid a decent wage. They get paid what an Israeli gets paid in construction, which is, by the way, the same I get paid at Tel Aviv University, just so you know. They actually make a little bit more money than me. That is considered acceptable. It is, even though it is, you would think Palestinian coming into Israel to work is considered, wait, what is second? You're going to build homes for the enemy, but it's considered acceptable. But if the same Palestinian were to be my translator, that is considered traitorous to the point where they might be jailed by their government. They might be killed by family members. They might be killed by neighbors because it's treason to deal with your enemy in a way that is seen as helping the enemy, even though it's not. It's just translation. I'm giving
Yeah.
just an example.
It's just yeah. Well, oh, and sorry,
So I'm
what
just saying,
class
and
of
it's not everybody. I know it's not everybody, but it's to the point where, find me a Palestinian organization which openly works with Israelis that is open about it. There are lots of them, but none of them are open about it because it's considered treasonous. Because
jeez.
even the current Palestinian Authority um, will not protect them.
That's so interesting. I
It's a
recently
cultural thing on their side more. Look, on our side, we also have it, by the way. Every time I ask my ridiculous, obnoxious questions, do you want to make peace with Palestinians? I get yelled at by people all the time. I had a woman who said, my brother was killed by a Palestinian. How dare you come and ask me about peace? You traitor. She yelled at me. Now, they're not going to kill me. Israelis are not going to kill me. Um, but there's still those ideas of the fact that I'm asking these questions in public is to some people, how can you do this?
yeah,
Not
what's the most
everybody,
you
but
yeah,
go ahead.
what's the most you've actually feared for your life in these situations?
Okay, so the best one was I was
The
in
best one.
Ramat Beit Shemesh, which is an ultra Orthodox Jewish area. So the guys with the hats and the payas, the curls, and there is a rumor that I am a Jews for Jesus. I am a Messianic Jew, and in their society. So I'm interviewing them. We're having a great time, and I'm schmoozing, and we're talking, and whatever. And this nutcase, 40-year-old, runs out of his apartment screaming, "He's a Messianic Jew!" He's like Jews for Jesus, Messianic Jew, Messianic. They all turned on me, and they said, "If you don't leave, we're going to kill you." And they all surrounded me like they were going to beat the crap out of me. Now they didn't touch me, but everybody there went, "Well, Messianic Jew."
They were gonna kill you for that
And it
actually.
was an extreme neighborhood. It's true. It's an extreme. I told a friend of mine who lives in the same city, and she goes, "Well, of course, you were in that neighborhood. I don't go to that neighborhood. They're crazy there." And she's an Orthodox woman. So she's like, "Yeah, you were in the wrong neighborhood. They're just like this weird cult that has decided whatever. They decide their own little things." So I keep getting in trouble because they think I'm a Messianic Jew. Now, wait, for the record, I'm a Jew. I'm an atheist Jew. I don't believe in my own religion. I just respect that people have the right to believe whatever they want. I don't actually care. But yeah, that was probably the scariest one. And I was with a friend who is religious. He didn't look religious, but he's from Canada. And I felt really bad for him because he was like, "What the hell is going on here?" I mean, I'm used to the crazies. So he was the first time he ever had filmed with me. So I felt really bad.
But that, I guess that death to the Messianic Jew doesn't actually represent, uh, a significant population mindset of Israelis, right?
No, not at all. I mean,
Okay,
look,
cool.
60% of Israelis are secular, traditional, up to 80%. Only 13% are actually Orthodox, like ultra Orthodox. And then there's modern Orthodox. So even a modern Orthodox or even ultra Orthodox, they're not going to care that much. They're just going to be like, that's really sad. It's like, I'm assuming most Christians, the fact that I don't believe Jesus is the Messiah, they're going to think, well, that's really too bad. Oh my God, I can't believe you don't believe that. Like, that's how most religious Jews see things. It's the same idea. There are some people who live in this paranoid state where they think that Christians are trying to convert Jews, and they think Arab Muslims are trying to steal Jewish women, and so they rile things up. It's like it becomes like just part of their identity. How often does this actually happen? Look, I live in central Tel Aviv. We have what are they called? Jehovah's Witnesses on the corner every day. I've seen them for 10 years. I've never seen an Israeli speaking to them. No offense to the Jehovah's Witnesses. I have friends who are from, they left Jehovah's Witnesses, but nobody's ever talking to them. Do I care that they're proselytizing? No, couldn't care less. Does anyone care? No, nobody cares. So yes, there are going to be some people who take it as an offensive. They're offended by it. So
Yeah. What'd you say the classes were that you taught at the university?
I don't teach. I run a conflict resolution master's program.
Okay, okay, right, master's program. Okay, interesting.
So
And
if anyone is interested in learning conflict resolution in Israel, it's super fascinating, really is. Um, yeah, contact me.
Yeah,
We
do
have a lot of
students come
Christians, by the way, who come
really?
to our program. A lot.
Do the people in the program ever try to debate you on these topics?
Beat me.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yes. Oh, yeah. So a lot of people make assumptions about my views because of the questions that I asked. So I remember I had a German student years and years ago, and because in Germany you're taught you can't be nationalistic. It's just because of the Holocaust, and you're just told not to be a proud German in that sense. So he saw me as this, big Zionist, a pro-Israel person, and I just kind of nod a lot. And I'm like, look, I'm a Zionist to anti-Zionist because I think they're ridiculous. But to people who were like telling me that, like, I get from a lot of people here that I'm a traitor because I even ask these questions. Yeah, yeah, sometimes I get that. I don't really care. Only there's certain what I care more about is that I challenge anybody's assumptions and I kind of give them some information on a personal level that will make them think in some way. Because everyone gets very used to how they think and they think that they have all the answers. And I don't think any of us have the answers. And I kind of want people to at least be open to that. That's what I care about. So when people make these assumptions about me, that's okay.
Yeah. Have you ever asked a question in an interview standpoint and you actually changed your mind on that topic afterwards?
The topic itself? Yeah, yeah, I would say. You know what? Actually, sometimes I interview most Israelis. I kind of consider myself sort of left leaning ish. Um, and I will talk to a lot of right wing Israelis. And if they make a good, because most Israelis are right wing, I'm kind of, right. By the way, left and right here mean it's similar to the US, but it's more about what do we do about peace and Palestinians. So right wing people tend to be socially liberal, very, very liberal, but much harder on Palestinians. They have to prove to us that they want peace. They have to make the first move. Whereas the left wing person says, "Oh, I think Israel's to blame for part of this as well." Um, so there have been a lot of people on the right who have convinced me if they make a good argument, um, I see what they're saying. It's not that I'm completely convinced. I still, for example, believe I'm one of the few people who believe a two-state solution is the better of all the bad solutions because it gives everyone a little bit of what they want, but not everything. It's the solution that everyone's talked about for over 100 years. You know what to expect. And I think that's important in conflict situations. Most people are against it, but they make good arguments against it that I go, yeah, you're right. I see what you're saying, 100%. And they'll say, but you still believe in it. And I'm like, kinda, yeah. Like I know if there's a Palestinian state in Gaza and the West Bank, we're going to get rockets launched at us from the West Bank, 100%. For sure, it's going to happen. Um, I don't know what else to do because the other ideas, one state, binational state, all of them have even more problems that will cause more violence. So, so yes, people give me arguments I don't agree with, and every so often I go, "Yeah, I see what you're saying, 100%."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I was gonna ask, is it often where you ask a question, they answer it, and they say, "Okay, I wanna ask you the same question."
yeah, they do that, but I won't give my opinion in the context of the video
Sure.
itself.
Yeah.
After I have conversations, and sometimes I film it and I give it to patrons who support the channel as behind the scenes because I don't care. People can know my views. I don't care about that. But the videos aren't supposed to be about me. They're supposed to be about the people. And so but usually they're doing that as a rhetorical device, right? They're saying, yeah, what do you think? Because they're mad at me. They think I'm challenging them in a way and they're right and I'm wrong, and they're gonna prove how they're right and I'm wrong.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes I even agree with them after. I go, "Yeah, I see what you're saying."
Has have you experienced it where you asked a question and talked to them about it, and they changed their mind on camera?
On camera, not exactly. Well, okay, so when you do see little cracks, let's say, let's put it that way, where if you keep pushing and people go, okay, maybe. Now it could be they just kind of want to get out of it, but no one who really believes in whatever they're arguing will say maybe if they don't, if they believe in something so wholeheartedly, right? And all I'm really looking for is how how deep is this belief? So every so often I'll get I think about it with Palestinians more, where they'll say, "No, no, 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 only we can have a state. Israel Jews can't have a state." And I'll say, "Yeah, but what if the Jews really promise they're not gonna attack you, they're not gonna hurt you?" And then if I get a maybe, then I know there's kind of a little bit of room to maneuver. Like it shows some hope that maybe there could be something in the future. Um, I think though, because it's on camera, people are less because of their ego, are less likely to do that. I have heard after that r people told me, because they knew people I interviewed, that I had changed their mind. I'm not so sure if this is true. Um, I don't know, because sometimes people tell you things that they want you to think, and it's not exactly true. I remember I asked, in, East Jerusalem, "What do you think of atheists?" And this woman said, "Oh, atheists are awful. What if your sister was an atheist? Oh, I would never speak to her again." And supposedly she told someone I know, because we happen to know the same person, which I did not realize at the time, that she thought about it and she thinks, "You know what? Maybe I would accept someone who was an atheist." Now, the person who told me this is somebody who's from Europe. So maybe that person was just saying it to, play nice, because in Palestinian society, the worst thing to be is an atheist. The worst thing. Yeah, I'm
I
trying to
know
think of
that.
something worse. And they hate Jews, but atheists are even worse because at least Jews believe in something.
Whoa, okay, that's interesting. I had
This is
no
something I
idea.
keep being told by Palestinians. These are not my words. I'm
Sure.
told this all the time by Palestinians. I'm just repeating what I've been told.
Yeah, yeah. Have you filmed something before that you actually consider not posting?
No,
Never.
no, no.
Cool.
I mean, I knew I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, of
I knew
course.
someone's going to be mad at me. Um, Yeah, no, sometimes people will say things like even I think the worst one I can think of right now is the whole spitting on Christians thing. So I was asking religious people, would you spit on a Christian? And most religious people hadn't even heard of this because it's something talked about outside of Israel, not in Israel. And then so a friend of mine said, "Oh, I'm taking you to the lion's den." He took me to this yeshiva, this place where, Jewish kids, 20-year-olds study Torah, because those are the people who actually spit on me. So I'm like, great, let's try it. Because I'll go, I'll ask, I'm not going to ask only them, but I'll ask at least one of them. And they said horrible things, horrible things. It's in the video. Not only do they need to spit on Christians as a symbol of having false gods, because to them, having a trinity as a false god
Yeah.
is idolatry. Um, it's that we need to kill the Christians. And I'm like, kill? Like that I had never heard in my life. And I've lived here for 30 years, 20 something years, 30 years. Never heard this. And I'm like, you're going to go kill someone? They're like, well, not me. But like once we have the Messiah comes and we have the Sanhedrin again and we go back to biblical, the temple, the third temple, then yeah, somebody who is an idolater has to be killed. It says so in the Torah. And for two things. First of all, what people don't see is I stopped the camera and I said, you're the reason, I point to the guy who said this, you're the reason I don't want to be a Jew. You're the reason, which is not exactly true. I actually love being a Jew. I think we're a lot of fun, but I wanted to make him feel like shit. Um, and I was like, "You're disgusting. You are barbarians. I cannot believe." And then I like kind of ran away. But I of course I thought this is gonna because I thought they were gonna kill. Well, they were gonna hurt me, but I thought actually worse that they would say, "Don't put it in." And I was like, I think this is important because my whole thing is, of course, I don't want my people or any people someone being racist against them. Like you said, people are making these assumptions. They're just not saying the truth. Really, behind this is all this evil ideas. It's nonsense. Hmm. I have the opposite of I want to name and shame these people. I actually thought of putting where their school was. But then I thought if somebody went there and committed violence, I would feel really bad. I couldn't do that. I want to shame them. I don't want to kill them. So yeah, of course, part of me, I got no, I had somebody who called me at my work. I don't even know how he found my number and said, you have to take it down. It's making Jews look bad. And I said, don't tell me, go tell those kids and their rabbi who's teaching violent, horrible, racist things. Tell them, don't tell me.
Interesting.
And I
Okay.
said that to all people, by the way, to the Palestinians who say horrible things, to the Jews who say horrible things, Christians who say horrible things. If somebody's saying something horrible, blame them. Don't blame everyone else.
Yeah. Mm. I recently had an Israeli woman on. She's out of Tel Aviv, and
Mhm.
I asked her how she feels about the things currently, and she said she feels optimistic and can finally relax. And then you've had obviously thousands of interviews. Is this a unique opinion, you think? The optimism and can finally relax sentiment?
I'm not sure what she meant in that what sense. Meaning she thinks the army is doing the right thing and they're really going to win in Iran. Is that what she meant? You think?
I maybe I I was I should have pressed her more on it, but I assume that's maybe what she meant.
Well, okay, so I have this whole thing. Okay, like I'm an old curmudgeon, like I am a grumpy old man. And so I'm always seeing cynical things. So there's another aspect of Israeli society that nobody really sees, unless you're here, is that Israelis are obnoxiously positive, obnoxiously positive. So you ask any Israeli, from 1 to 10, how happy are you? They're all going to say 10, as if it's a competition. Oh, I'm the happiest I've ever been. Now nobody's that happy. Now they are, and in some ways, because I'm like the opposite. In some ways, it is probably a better way to live because you are naive and walk around thinking everything's going to be wonderful. But I don't know. The same. To me, it just I call it the cult of optimism. They think everything is wonderful, and I think things are. I don't think they're falling apart, but I think we live in the developing world. Israel's not that advanced. Israel's way poorer than most other countries. Um, Everything is falling apart. I have a joke at work where I have a coworker and I walk into her office and I say, how does this country exist? How does anything in this country exist? Because nothing works. Everyone is incompetent. Nobody knows what they're doing, but everyone is optimistic, always optimistic. And so I've convinced her, she's like, you're right. I never thought of it that way. She goes, I'm just so used to it. I never thought of it. You're right. Nothing works here. So now we have a joke about how does this country exist? That's like our thing. um, I think it's take a step back. This is what I do. Is I think it's a coping mechanism. We're in Israel is in a difficult situation. You constantly have wars. You have people all around you who want to kill you. They really do want to kill us. You just have to find the positive things and enjoy, what you have. It is not. It is a society that I think, and this is a positive thing, that is much more concerned about experiences and living a good life than it is about material things. You can't really see in my apartment, but I have nothing on the walls. Most Israelis don't have anything on their walls. They have crappy furniture. I live in a one room, tiny, I mean, because I live in Tel Aviv, that's another thing. But people live in small apartments. It's not, I kind of miss living in North America where you have this either house or a big apartment and you have a car. I don't have a car. Um, so you just live with less and you spend your money on experiences. You go to Paris, you go to Istanbul, you go to, well, maybe not now. You go to the Seychelles, things like that. You have experiences. So part of it, I kind of, as much as I complain about them, and I call them, too optimistic. They also have, I think, compared to how I lived in Canada, a better way of living in some ways. But I'm not optimistic when it comes to peace. That I'm reserving that because I think this is what I work in. This is what I do. Is somebody needs to be the adult to be like, hold on. The things are falling apart here. Like this is, and they've always been falling apart. So it's not like it's anything new. Someone needs to point this out. And as a friend of mine says, I like to point out the elephant in the room. So I'm always pointing this out to people, going, hold on. You think this is great? Are you crazy? Um, so I don't know. I'm sort of, I both appreciate people like that who can live in this optimism. Think yes, in Iran, we're going to topple this government. We're going to destroy their nuclear capabilities and all ballistic missiles because that's what I want. Actually, um, I don't know if it's possible. I have no idea. Really, I don't know.
Yeah, it's yeah, because she also even said that, Palestinians are screwed up by their environment, and as Israelis don't have the means to fix what they're suffering from. And when you ask
Yeah, no, look, I actually understand what she's talking about. There is an Islamic Arab Palestinian culture, which is very different from Israeli culture that we can't do anything about. It's their culture. Um, I would want to change it personally because I think there's a lot of screwed up things in that culture. There's also a lot of screwed up things in this culture too, which I'm constantly pointing out to Israelis all the time. But their culture is like a lot more extreme way women are treated, the way in the family you're treated, um, relations between people. There's also a lot of pluses. Like there's a lot of things you see on the surface of hospitality and being kind to each other on the street, of which is very nice. And I think we could learn from it. I think even Israelis, because most Israelis are of Middle Eastern heritage, they've kind of lost that. It's become a little bit more individualistic on the Jewish side. But behind that, I would claim that it's fear based, it's violence based, meaning you're nice to your neighbors because your neighbors can try to kill you if you're not too nice to them. Your father, if you don't bring him his coffee when he wants it, will hit you. And I'm not talking about a 12-year-old girl. I'm talking about a 40-year-old woman. Um, it's a different culture with different rules that all the rules aren't necessarily talked about all the time, but they're there. And I notice them because I'm Canadian. Um, I'm not sure I wouldn't want to live in that reality. And so yeah, they have to figure that out. Now there are people as we become more exposed to the internet and movies. Of course, things change from generation to generation, but they're still there. Like a lot of those concepts are still there in Palestinian society. I remember asking a woman this 10 years ago, but still the same today. As a woman, what's different? And she's like, I can't see my friend across the street and go, hey, it's considered so unladylike that if my father found out, he wouldn't let me out of the house or he might beat me. It's just there are social norms which are enforced by threats and violence. And on the Israeli side, we don't have that. There are social norms, 100%, that are enforced by guilt. And I don't mean Jewish guilt, I mean guilt of you're a traitor, of you're against us, but it's not with violence. There is some, I shouldn't say that. There are some communities where it is with violence. So, like I pointed out, the ultra Orthodox who are against the Messianic Jews. Of course, there are. They exist. Um, but it's not, I understand what she's saying. Now, as a Canadian, I also look at Israelis. I would look at her and say, yeah, you got some of the same features. But she doesn't see that because when you're in your own fishbowl, whatever the water around you don't notice it. You don't notice your own culture. So I'm noticing this because I grew up in Canada.